Hey guys, MB Fox here. So, so this video is probably not for everyone because I know some of you might not be interested in this type of stuff. But hey, if you read my description, I said I like Mercedes-Benz, Foxes, and am obsessed with pianos. So, I am going to talk about the stuff that I like, that I love, and sometimes obsessed with, which is piano. So, my friend Milo suggested that I do this video because, I don't know, we were just like talking and, he mentioned something like, that I talk about the pianos that I have or had, and I said, uh, maybe I'll do that, or, oh yeah, I said I might do that if ever I feel like it, and I kind of do feel like it, so yeah, it's the perfect time to talk about the pianos that I've either had or have, or also at the same time experienced playing on. So yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so for anyone who is curious on how long I've been playing for nearly 12 years. I'm still not perfect, but I'm a work in progress. So the first instrument that has started my interest on the piano was, or should I say, two instruments that sparked my interest on the piano was first an unbranded purple keyboard that was originally for my sister, but I ended up playing piano. So yeah, said keyboard was obviously just a toy, and there there wasn't really much you could do with it as far as I remember. It's been a while since I've touched said keyboard. I think we threw it out. Um, I I might say over 8 to 9 years ago. Was it? I forgot. But for the longest time, it was pretty. For the time that I was like not sure what I was going to be doing, there was that old keyboard that originally belonged to my sister, and you know, since she doesn't play it, might as well, And then there was this Casio CTK AT that was that belonged to my mother, but apparently she also didn't pick up with it, and it was from the 90s. It was from the late 90s that she bought, and I'm not going to, go to more details about that, but it's here. It was here. So, said keyboard had 49 notes, 49 keys, which was a lot more than that toy keyboard I mentioned a while ago. And yeah, it was an entry level Casio for during that time, but it was still a blessing because it heavily sparked my interest on learning the piano. It also had like some, pretty interesting features on it, like, backing tracks and whatnot for you to like play along with if you're like bored. And yeah, it wasn't much, but it was okay. It didn't have touch sensitivity. There wasn't even a place to plug in a sustain pedal. There was no sustain pedal. But for a very beginner or very much hobbyist like type of person, it's pretty much okay, I guess. But you might quickly grow out of it, but it will spark your interest, and that's what it did for me. But that's what those two instruments did for me, and I'm very grateful to at least have those in my life to like start my interest. So moving on to the very first acoustic piano that I will mention here, and it's the first grand piano that I've actually encountered in my life, which is a 1965 to 1985. I actually do not have any details on what year is it exactly made in, but it was a Yamaha CF concert grand. It was 9 feet in length, and I sadly do not have any videos of me playing on that instrument. But as far as I'm aware, it still exists to this day. I did visit that instrument back in 2022. I revisited that instrument back in 2022, and it sort of needs some restoration done to it. The keys are spewed, and there was one key that isn't working like at all, but it's probably fine because it's the very, very low A key, and no one usually plays on that key, so it's probably good for most, if not all, music. It still plays wonderful, despite of it needing some restoration. You could really tell it was an amazing piano, even in that condition. And yeah, it was really nice to play on, and I was so grateful to be reunited with that instrument, even if it's just for like several hours. Yeah, it was again the first ever grand piano I ever laid hands on. It had ivory keys. You can tell it's old because the ivories. And yeah, I just have no other words to say. It was the first grand piano that I played on, and it was unlike any. It's unlike any piano that you would see today, because who can see pianos with ivory keys? It's illegal now. So it's really interesting that that piano still has that. You can really tell it's still in its original condition. And yeah, a bit sad that I don't have videos to show you guys, and I don't know if I'll ever go back to that store. Maybe if I might have time in the future, I might. I just hope it's still there, and if said store is willing to sell said instrument, if I have the budget in the future, I will happily buy it. Because as of now, that instrument is for display only. It's not for sale, but it's available for anyone who would want to give it a whirl if you're in that store. So yeah, it just sits in the corner, and I'm just very grateful to experience such an instrument, because you don't normally find concert grand pianos to play on a day-to-day basis. They're very big. No, not many establishments have those, because they're big, and for hotel purposes they aren't really practical. They might take up the entire lobby. Even if you could fit one in, it would be a bit impractical again, because it'd be big. I mean, it's not like a hotel would not have that, but where I'm at, hotels don't really have big concert grand pianos like that. They would normally have baby grand pianos or parlor grand pianos, maybe like a Yamaha G1 or D2, G3, maybe something like that, not necessarily a Yamaha CF. And for anyone wondering, no, the Yamaha CF is no longer in production. It was replaced by the Yamaha CF2, then the CF3, then the CFX. So yeah, and for anyone who's interested in looking more into that, you just feel free to look it up on the internet. I don't know when the transition between the CF to the CF2, then the CF3, then the CFX took place, or maybe probably for the CFX. The CFX was the CFX began production in 2010 when Yamaha bought the Austrian piano brand Büsendorfer, and since they bought the Austrian piano brand Büsendorfer, they have the resources, they have information from Büsendorfer about their materials, and they are using that information for their own pianos, which is why, which is, a great business strategy, I might say, because not only do you own one of the most prestigious piano brands in all the world, because Busendorfer, along with Steinway, is very, they're categorized as, the luxury piano brands, if you will. Not saying Yamaha doesn't make luxury pianos. The CFX is definitely a luxury piano. It's a concert grand. It's expensive, but Busendorfer is one of the most renowned piano brands in the world, and you know it's great that Yamaha has them, because they now have information on where to get the materials for their instruments. It's not saying that they don't have great materials, but now they can use that information and stuff like that. So anyway, back to the story, the Yamaha CF. And obviously, unlike those two keyboards I mentioned, that CF, like all modern day acoustic pianos, have 88 keys, which means all the pianos that I will mention on this video, from here until the very last that I will mention, will have 88 keys. So just so you guys know. So the next instrument I will be talking about is my personal piano. It is an acoustic piano. It's an upright piano, and I do have 2 videos of me demonstrating that piano, at least. It's on my shorts. It is a diapason 132 upright piano. It is around 50 inches in length, in height. So it's not as grand as the CF that I've mentioned, which is around 9 feet in length. But it is my piano, and I kind of have a love and hate relationship with that piano. But it is what it is. It is a piano that I started learning on as a beginner until now. I've been playing for nearly 12 years, and the piano is still working, although she sadly needs some love, especially some work done to the action, and also needs a pitch raise. It hasn't been tuned in like 10 years or so, 11 years. But it's pretty much in tune with itself, and yeah, that's all I can say about it. It's not perfect, but I'm also not gonna get rid of it for a digital piano, because there's some elements to an acoustic piano that, for me, digital pianos just don't fit in terms of miles per gallon. Because I love playing on my digital piano, but sometimes I go on that acoustic piano in just to satisfy the acoustic piano cravings. So yeah, it's not perfect, and again, I have a love and hate relationship with it. My digital piano obviously has a much better response to it. The keys are also a lot smoother, because so digital piano, everything is perfect, too perfect. But there's something about an acoustic piano that it just can't replace. And yeah, there's also that feeling that when you're listening to an electronic device for a long period of time, it can get kind of tiring to the ears, no matter how amazing, no matter how expensive it is. You can still tell it's a digital piano. I have been fooled by a digital piano that sounded nice from a distance, but when I played it myself, I'm like, okay, it's a digital piano, but it's still pretty amazing that how digital piano technology has come since somewhere in the 80s up until the very present. But as at the moment, digital pianos cannot fully replace the satisfaction that a good, well-regulated, and top-of-the-line acoustic piano can give, which is it's my personal opinion, and I will stand by it. So, yeah, that upright piano is still with me. I still have it, and I still sometimes play on it. And though it's not perfect, it is what it is. And the only upgrade I will get from there is probably to a baby grand. But as the moment, while I still do not have space for a baby grand, an upright piano is still that upright piano is still here to stay. So the next piano I will be talking to you guys about is my previous digital piano. So you guys probably seen the my videos of me playing, and you see my digital piano, which is a Yamaha DGX 670. So before I talk about that instrument, there's this one instrument that I will be talking to you guys about, which is the digital piano I had before that, which is a Kawai ES110. So for anyone who is not aware in the digital piano market, stuff changes. The longest a digital piano stays on the shelf of a manufacturer before it gets replaced by a new one is at least 5 years. But that's the way it is. Technology just keeps changing. So that digital piano existed during 2017 until I forgot, around 2022, I guess. Yeah, 2022. So relatively a long period of time, and I think it was high time it was replaced by the ES120, which is already on shelves. So if you guys want to see ES120, just go to a piano store. So anyway, the Kawai ES110 is a slab piano or a keyboard type piano. It is, what you would expect from a keyboard. It has a keyboard piano, I guess is what I should call it, or a slab piano. So yeah, it has 88 keys. It has 192 notes worth of polyphony. And if any one of you guys are curious to know what polyphony is on a digital piano, it is the number of notes a digital piano will simultaneously produce all at the same time. So we all know digital pianos have 88 keys, but if you are playing really fast notes and if you're holding the sustain pedal down, you might exceed that number of keys than what's original on the digital piano, because you're like doing repetitions, you're doing jumps and leaps and whatnot. And not to mention that modern day digital pianos have what we call sympathetic resonance, which also takes up polyphony. So for anyone wondering, an acoustic piano has strings, right? And the strings are obviously struck by hammers, which produces the sound. So if you were to press down a sustain pedal on an acoustic piano, all of those strings are free to resonate, because before you press down the sustain pedal, there are these things that are called dampers. What they do is that they stop the string from vibrating. So when you play piano, when you press the note on the piano, and when you release the note, that string will stop vibrating, and it's because of the dampers. And what the sustain pedal does is hold all those dampers down so that all the strings are free to vibrate. And what it also does is obviously it sustains the note, but it means when the strings are free to vibrate, when one note is played, the entire piano resonates along with it, creating some sort of a breath of air around the note. If you guys want to know more about it, you could just either do research about it or go to a piano store and like press a note with the sustain pedal down. You get what I mean. The sympathetic resonance is what is really the magic of an acoustic piano, and it's what all digital pianos are trying to replicate. So yeah, back to my Kawai ES 110. It has 292 notes worth of polyphony. It has stuff like sympathetic resonance and some sounds like electric piano sounds and stuff like that. It doesn't have guitar sounds though, unlike my current digital piano, which does have guitar sounds. And yeah, it worked fine. It worked phenomenally well. It was phenomenal for the price. I know in the US it's around $699, but in the used market you can probably find it for a lot cheaper than $699. But yeah, now back to the topic. It was attacked by ants in the second year. I had it repaired. Then it was attacked by ants again the third year, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just replace it. so my decision to replace it is, I think it's because once I've spent more time with it, I'm like, there's some things that could be better. Like, I guess when we did, you know what? I think it's because when digital pianos age, some stuff in the action sort of like doesn't work like it's supposed to. And since it's already past its warranty, I think it's high time to like, move on. And now that I think about it, if I were to keep it although it can get repaired, but I might not be able to record videos on it. Like, okay, sorry for the pause. Like how I would on my current digital piano, because it does not have a USB port. Which means I will not be able to transport audio from it to a computer. It has line outs, but no USB ports. So about that digital piano, I still have it. It's upstairs. It's in the attic, and unlike my current digital piano, yeah, it's a bit more. It's built to be more portable, not necessarily stationary, and it's a lot lighter to carry. Around 12.5 pounds versus my current digital piano around. So that Kawai is around 12.5 pounds, whereas my current digital piano, which is a Yamaha DGX 670, that digital piano weighs around 47 pounds. So obviously it's a lot lighter and more portable. So if I will ever do gigs in the future, I'll probably have that fixed again, because it was not attacked once by ants, it was attacked twice. So the next digital piano I will be talking about is my current digital piano, which is a Yamaha DGX 670, which I already mentioned a while ago. So it, compared to the Kawai, has hundreds of features, which I'm not sure how all those things work. In spite of me owning that digital piano for nearly 3 years now, it has 256 notes worth of polyphony. And I think during that time I bought it in the US, it costs around $899, but nowadays it probably costs more because of stuff happening around the world, and gas prices obviously affects the logistics. But yeah, but I'm not from the US, but still I mentioned US prices. So yeah, the Yamaha DGX 670 obviously is during that time I bought it was a bang for your buck instrument. Unlike the Kawai ES110 I mentioned a while ago, it's discontinued. It was replaced by the Kawai ES120 around 2022. The Yamaha DGX 670 came around during 2021, and is still currently being produced. So if you guys want a Yamaha DGX 670, if you can afford it, go ahead, because it is one of those instruments that obviously has so many features. Again, I don't know how most of those features work, but the sound from that instrument is amazing, if I'm completely being honest. It sounds better than some of the instruments from some other brands that I've tried, which cost so much more than that instrument. I have no other words to say about my Yamaha. It sounds absolutely phenomenal, especially for the price. Although I wouldn't say for the price now. I don't know how much it costs in the US now. In my country, it's over $1,000. It's actually nearly 2,000 now. But you know, during that time, I was able to get it in a discount, which is just under $1,000, which is amazing again. So the next yeah, it has again 88 keys, 256 notes worth of polyphony. It has backing tracks. If you want to play along with it, you can. It also has recording features. It has a 16-track recorder. You guys can just search what I meant. You guys can just look up the specs, but yeah, it has a 16-track recorder, which means you can like record stuff on it. You can make your own music on it, but again, I don't know how to operate it. I just know how to like switch sounds and whatnot. And yeah, it's overall just an amazing instrument. If I'm truly being honest, I'm not sponsored by Yamaha to promote it, but if I was to recommend someone an instrument to either start piano on and to have fun on at the same time, the Yamaha DGX 670 would be my recommendation. You can get to intermediate level on that instrument, and they're just, the sound is just phenomenal. And I've never played a keyboard that sounds quite like it for me, because to me it's amazing. And for anyone who would want to hear it, YouTube has its way of suppressing certain sounds, and my advice obviously is to hear it in person for you to completely understand what I feel about it. But anyway, and although it cannot fully replace an acoustic piano, it is adequate, especially for the pieces that I am playing on it. And if I wanted, I might upgrade to a proper stand for it, with the option of 3 pedals, because it can be available with a triple pedal unit. But as is, it works, and it is, it suffices. And the next instrument I'll be talking to you guys about is the digital piano that I play on my gigs. And if you're a 67 kid, you probably are going to be triggered by this. This is a Kawai CP67. Yeah, I said 67. You're happy now? Are you? Anyway, that digital piano obviously existed way before that 6-7 meme existed. And as a matter of fact, it existed during the early 2000s, way before the 67 meme existed. And it is, in terms of the touch response, it's not bad. I actually wouldn't mind taking it with me if they were to give it. But the sound is obviously it's from the early 2000s, before the 67 meme existed. And if you guys are gonna call it 6-7, no, I'm gonna call it 67, whether you guys like it or not. You know, the sound is not, it's not terrible, but it's also not it doesn't make me go like, wow, it's an amazing digital piano, and everything, you know. But it, as is, it's pretty adequate, and I've played on it on several gigs. It's not mine, but it's there whenever I perform. It's you know, again, it's adequate, and I have no complaints playing on it. So the next instrument that I'll be talking to you guys about is another acoustic piano. It is worth a mention because like my upright piano, it also has some sentimental you know, value to me, even though that I don't play on it anymore. It's not mine. It actually belongs to the place where I learned piano on. So the place where I learned piano on had several pianos. It was I'm just not gonna like mention the name of said place, because the name of said place is also named after the person who owns that place. And maybe if you guys will ask me in the comments, I will answer you guys, but in terms of like recording this video, I won't be saying the name of said place, because they like teach piano, guitar, stuff like that, and the instruments in that area, they were not like concert level, but they were adequate for like learning stuff on. So this particular piano was my favorite to practice on in said place. It was an Eterna console piano. I'm not sure the exact model, but if I was going to estimate, probably around 44, 43, 46, 44, 43 inches in height. It's a small piano, a small upright piano. And I don't know the exact price for it, but I heard an equivalent to the American dollar, it was around, I think, $400, I guess. I mean, to be honest, it's a steal, because I cannot find a $400 instrument that plays quite like it. And since it's a smaller piano, a smaller upright piano, dynamics is a lot better to control on that piano compared to a taller upright piano. I don't know why, it's just the way it is. And you know, that instrument was it wasn't perfect, but it was a delight to play, and I enjoy learning songs on that thing, even though that. So nowadays, said area is shut down, and I don't know what happened to that piano. I just hope it's relocated to another area and they are still using it. I hope it's still in working condition. But yeah. So the next instrument that I will be talking to you guys about would probably be the actually the most expensive instrument I've ever come across. I think I might, if anyone is like interested to know what it looks like, I might search up a video about it because I've seen videos about it, and at the same time it's such an amazing experience to be able to at least touch it but not play it. It is a Busendorfer 214 made around 1900. It is inlaid with mother of pearl and 24 karat gold. It is one of the most luxurious instruments that I've ever come across my entire lifespan. The keys are made of mother of pearl, and it didn't feel like any other instrument that I've come across. And again, I would gladly search up a video of it online. I've seen some Filipinos play it. It was really something different. I didn't play it. It's like too shy to play on it, and I don't know the price of that thing, but I know it's really expensive, and I think the history, according to the person who I was talking to about it, it was taken to Milan, Italy, to be decorated with mother of pearl. I don't know much about the history of that thing, but all I know is, from what I could tell, the tone was really, it was, delightful, as expected for, you know, that type of instrument. Busendorfer always had some sort of thing with their sound. It was the only Busendorfer I was able to come across in my lifespan and in my lifetime currently. And it's also made in the era where Busendorfer was not owned by any other company. They were basically themselves running. So yeah, it's a really nice instrument. I sadly do not have any videos of me playing it. Maybe I'll try to look up videos of someone else playing it here on YouTube. I think I have come across someone playing that before, but it's just something to behold. I don't know if said videos exist still. If I might not find any videos, I'll tell you guys. Maybe videos are taken down, but as is, that instrument was really amazing, and it is something that you never experience, like coming. It's like, again, in the fact that it's like really, really old. It's made in 1900, and yeah, it's unlike anything I've ever come across before. So the next instrument is the first ever American. We're in America. Okay, sorry. American piano I've come across, which is a Mason and Hamlin CC. It is a 9 foot 4 inch concert grand piano, and yeah, again, it is something that I've never come across before. I've never come across a new concert grand, only a used one. But also sadly, I'm sorry, I do not have any videos to like show you guys, but it's less luxurious than the Bosendorfer. But obviously it's still an amazing piano. Mason Hamlin make pretty amazing pianos. They are America's two existing piano companies currently. One is obviously Steinway and Sons, which is untouchable, and the other one is them, Mason Hamlin. And yeah, they are, I don't know, they're just amazing pianos, and that was also the very first Mason and Hamlin I've come across, and I'm so grateful to be able to at least play on that thing. That thing costs over $100,000, as I recall. It was still new, but to be honest, I think if it was fresh from the factory, it probably cost more, because that piano was sitting in the store for like years, to the point where the prices depreciated to $100,000. But yeah, as is, if I had the money and space, I would probably get it, because it's Mason Hamlin. It's a concert grand, and I did play several pieces on that thing before I had to leave, because I had other places to be, and it's in a piano store. And, people need to it's for sale. So it just one of those, I wish I could afford things, but sadly cannot. And here's another one that I cannot afford. It is the very first Steinway I played. It is a New York made Steinway Model S from the 1980s. It's from 1980. It had a satin finish. Not much to talk about that piano, because to be honest, I was a bit underwhelmed despite of the asking price, which I also didn't ask. But obviously, since it's sold in a piano store, it's obviously going to cost, especially here in the Philippines, probably going to cost over $80,000. And but I think if it was prepped, because I think I just stumbled across that piano when they just had it in, it probably would have been better playing condition if it was prepared. But as is, it was a bit underwhelming. Same for the next instrument I'm going to mention, also a Steinway Model S from 1983, from the same store. Same story. It was actually pretty good, a lot better than the other Steinway, as I mentioned. But it was sold, but also a bit unprepped, I guess. But I think nowadays I think I'm just gonna theorize it was bought by a rich person, and just hey, it's a Steinway, and they obviously wanted to get it. So yeah, nothing much, just that Steinway. And I did come across another Steinway in that area, same model but a lot older, around 1946, I guess. And they mentioned that they did have a Steinway from 1920. I didn't play it because it was still being prepped as well. But anyway, another piano that is worth shouting out is, in that same area I came across a Baldwin. So anyone who's not familiar with Baldwin was a piano company that was rivaling the likes of like Steinway, Mason Hamlin, also in America. So I'm not trolling you guys from America. I mean, you know, not I'm not like trolling America, okay? Just so you know. So I know, you know, they were good. I just sadly don't have any much experience with Baldwin. That particular Baldwin was quite out of tune, also in need of a preparation. But I just think that it was worth mentioning because Baldwin, I hear, was one of America's top-notch piano companies back in their heyday, and and sad that I probably never will be able to come across a brand new Baldwin to play on. I hear they were bought by Gibson, a guitar company, back in 1980s, the 1980s. But for some reason, I don't know why Gibson decided to do this. They eventually made Baldwin move their piano company production to China. That's probably the only thing I don't like about Gibson. Milo, I know you like Gibson. I have I don't hate you for that, okay? Okay, just don't think this is an issue between you and us. This is between me and Gibson, okay? I don't have any. But just in case, you can like do more research about that, okay? Okay? And just so you know, okay, I don't despise Gibson, okay? I don't despise Gibson. But anyway, Baldwin is now made in China, and based on what I've heard, the quality is not like what it was when they were made in the US. And I highly doubt that they would even be compared to even the likes of Yamaha and Kawai. So it's a bit of a sad, a bit of a sad end to Baldwin. But anyway, that Baldwin I've mentioned that I've come across was made in the US, but I sadly wasn't able to play it because it was in need of a tuning. So, last but not least, I would like to mention this piano that, actually, I don't know what type of piano I should mention because I never thought I'd get this far in this list, and it's probably getting a bit long. But if you guys want me to make like more of these videos, just go ahead and tell me, and I will try to make more concise videos that aren't too long, especially when it comes to like piano advice. Although I'm a bit unexperienced, I might share some, if you guys want to, I might share some of my experiences, and so the last piano I will mention is think of it, what? Yes, since I started off with the first ever Yamaha concert grand I've played, I'm going to end this video with, but first of all, shout out to the other pianos that I probably won't be mentioning, like this Steinway Model B that I played back in 2023. It was made in Hamburg, and for any one of you guys wondering, isn't Steinway an American company? Yeah, they are, but they also make pianos in Hamburg. They make pianos both in New York, in America, and in Hamburg, which is in Germany. And there are some debates whether or not which piano from which country is the superior one. There are some people who say the ones in America are junk after what happened to Steinway back in the 50s to the early 90s, I guess, when quality they say in the American factory wasn't as great as it ones was during the 1920s and 30s. So Steinways from the 20s and 30s are kind of sought after for their. It is what many people, or especially Steinway enthusiasts, would call the golden area of Steinway, which is in the early 1900s. It's what they say. Golden era of you know Steinways, especially the American Steinways. But anyway, okay, where was I? Yes. So the Steinway Model B I played before was an amazing piano. It's brand new. It was in a Steinway dealer. Yeah, again, it's one of those, man, I wish I could afford this type of pianos. I'm not gonna say the price because it's pricey. That's all I can tell you guys. And also the Steinway Model O that I also be giving a shout out. It's really another piano I'll be shouting out, Steinway O. I also tried in that same store, which had the Steinway Stereo player system in it, which means it can play by itself, and you can access that Steinway Stereo player system via the free iPad that comes with the piano if you were to purchase it. It is, for me, an amazing parlor grand piano. It's around 5 feet 10 inches, and the Steinway B I mentioned before was around 6 feet 11 inches and 3/4 inches in length. And the Steinway S that I mentioned before was around 5 feet 1 inch in length. The biggest piano Steinway makes is the Steinway Model D, as in Delta, Steinway Model D, which measures around 8 feet 11 inches and 3/4 inches in length. It's a bit shorter than the Yamaha CF that I mentioned before, and definitely a lot shorter than the Mason Hamlin I mentioned. The Mason Hamlin CC I mentioned a while ago, it was around 9 feet 4 inches in length, which is the longest piano I've played on. And sadly, I really wish I had videos to show you guys, but it wasn't. And I don't think I should be recording it because the people in that piano store might think, oh, so you just came here to record videos, not to buy pianos. And I don't want to give off that vibe. It's bad enough I'm not buying it. So you know. But anyway, the last piano I will be mentioning is the Yamaha CF3S that I've played in a restaurant. I didn't play it as a gig. I just played it because I kind of wanted to. And I am very grateful for the pianist assigned to that piano for letting me play it several times whenever I visit that restaurant. That restaurant sadly shut down during the pandemic, and I really don't know what happened to that piano after the pandemic. My theory is either it still sits there abandoned, or it was taken out by the restaurant that used to own that spot in that area. Anyway, my technique wasn't that great, but I will say that obviously that piano is, it's it's one of those, since it's a concert grand, same expression I would feel when I was playing, same expression I was feeling on that Mason and Hamlin CC and Yamaha CF that I tried before. it is quite an amazing, instrument. It's a concert grand. I played several concert grands in the past, and it's one of those, I wouldn't say it's the best concert grand I've played. It's one of the great. I will say it's one of the greatest pianos I've ever played. It's one of the best concert grands I've ever played, and I've only played a few, so. And I think it's worth mentioning because I never knew what happened to that piano after that restaurant shut down, but I'm glad that I was able to experience that piano while it was still around. And also just a drop-in shout out to another concert grand, which is a Kawai concert grand. I don't know the exact model, but that Kawai I mentioned was from, I think, the same store I found the used Steinway I played on, and that piano also had a player system. It also had ivory keys, and it's an amazing piano. And yeah, there's no other words to say about it. So if you guys want me to keep making more of these very long videos of me just talking about pianos or stuff about pianos, just feel free to do so. And I'm sorry for boring you to death with this video. Maybe I'll try to be more concise on my next videos, even though I don't have a script. Dog. Anyway, and sorry for the background interruptions. So, again, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to me ramble about pianos, and sorry for boring you guys. And yeah, this is MB Fox, and I will see you in the next video or post, or maybe in the comments. I don't know. See you guys.